So as leaders, we're inundated with information on AI. It is incredibly difficult to determine what is real, what is going to have real impact for our business. It is incredibly overwhelming. I've been leading tech teams for a couple decades, 8.5 years at Microsoft, 6.5 at Amazon, now 4 years at Tomtom. I can tell you I'm overwhelmed. I have regular sync-ups with tech executives from Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google. They're all overwhelmed. The reality is it's a very overwhelming time. It's very difficult to consume and understand what's happening, and more importantly, how you can take what's happening and find what's going to really deliver impact for your company. Yet, some of us are finding that impact. Every one of those executives I talk to, they're finding the impact. At Tomtom, we're finding the impact. There are places, just as a few examples of things where we're finding impact in voice. You can imagine the days for those old enough, the TV series Knight Rider, where you could talk to your car Kit and it was your voice assistant. That day's here, it's reality. We can now talk to our cars. It has changed how we interface. It's the vehicles that are being launched now have this. Where you can now not have to clumsy around with the navigation system or the different things. You can just ask what you want, have a natural conversation with the car, and it can understand. Super interesting, very impactful, a lot more to come in the automotive space. Every car now on the road is connected. It's sending vast information up into the cloud. And that information, with the use of AI now, we can take, process, and update these maps and update it in real time. So now we can have a living map that changes as the world changes around us in real time. And this real-time living map is able to really break through new innovation in autonomous driving, break through new innovations in how we do location analytics and give better and richer information for people with their data. And then engineering and software engineering. This is one everybody really needs to spend a lot of time paying much closer attention to. Software engineering is being completely upended by the new AI. And what I mean by that is we now have AI agents that can write bugs for us. We have AI agents that can read those bugs and write the code to fix them, with our engineers just having to review the pull requests. I had an AI engineer that had a backlog of work that they wanted to fix, but they didn't have time to work on it. They put an agent on it, and in 1 week, what was going to take them months of work, they were able to reduce significant cloud costs. Huge cloud cost savings, work we probably wouldn't have done for another year because it was just going to take us too much time. It was always on the backlog. So this is really changing the game for us in a pretty significant way. So really, though, it's important as leaders to understand, why are these breakthroughs happening? We've had machine learning for decades now. We've had deep learning for quite some time. But for a number of years, with machine learning and deep learning, we were plateaued. We could not find a breakthrough in improving our models. No matter how much data we threw at these models, how much different layers of in the deep learning we added, we couldn't make a meaningful improvement. Then a group of scientists at Google wrote a white paper, Attention is All You Need. And all this white paper really did was say, pay attention to the complex relationships of the input data you're taking in. And that was revolutionary. It completely broke that bottleneck. Now our models are insatiably hungry for data. More data we give them, the more they improve. It just has completely gone out of control. But it also required another breakthrough, because we had humans labeling this data. And now humans couldn't keep up with the demands of the machines and how much data they needed. So the next breakthrough, which was super important, was self-supervised learning. Our humans couldn't give the data that was needed by the machines, so the machines started writing and labeling the data for themselves, training themselves. Now you say, how can you do this? Well, you take, for example, text, the World Wide Web of information. You can take to a machine, give it a sentence, I like ice cream, remove the cream, and you say, your input is I like ice, I want you to generate the next word, learn what the next word is, cream, and cream's your true set. Now, of course, it could predict ice cream, ice hockey, ice skating. How does it know it's cream? Well, because it takes that complex relationship of information. It doesn't just take the sentence. It takes all the information around it, and it learns, in this context, we're talking about ice cream. We're not talking about ice skating or ice hockey, so it predicts or generates that next word correctly. And that's why we call it generative AI, because what we're doing is we're taking vast amounts of data, we're removing some of the data to be able to create training on it, and then asking these machines to generate what should be there. Now, these are two very important concepts, because as you look to what the breakthroughs are happening, if you want to know what's real in the breakthroughs in new AI that's happening, you just have to look at the data. You also have to look at your own company's data. It is all founded in, do you have sufficient data? Is the data accessible? How do you make sure the machines understand what they're trying to achieve? And the more information, the more complexity it can understand, because it can understand those unique and difficult complexities, the better they will perform. Now, let's zoom out and let's talk about, here we go. Let's zoom out and let's talk about, as leaders, myself, the executives I talked about, where we're seeing the impact. How are we finding that impact? And it's really about coming to these events, learning in the industry, what is real, but more importantly, what do we find that's real for our company and what our company needs? And then creating, as a leader, you need to create that vision, you need to drive that from the top, you need to then create focused work groups, focused initiatives. Do not spread yourself thin. Too many companies are trying too many pilots. There's vast amounts of pilots, everybody trying every single thing they could think about of AI, and it's killing you. You got to focus in, do the things that you think are going to have the most and significant impact that you founded, looks real, deliver success on those initiatives, and once you start seeing that success, start scaling that out, build momentum and grow from that. So I'll talk about two areas where I'm doing that actively, two areas that are up and coming, very important in the space. First, in automotive, self-driving. In autonomous driving, I've been watching it for a while. It's been stuck. We had vision transformers. We could predict and use better these breakthrough in data, but we couldn't self-supervise label it. We had humans labeling where the traffic signs are, where the roads are. So we can only feed the machine so much. And I was always wondering, when are we going to get to a point where we're self-supervising? The machine is learning itself. And the breakthrough that's happened in the last couple of years is on video. So it's the same video that you see in these deep fakes and Sora 2. It's the same technology. What we do is we have a camera in front of the car, and the camera can now basically give you video frames. You take all of those video frames, you remove a set of video frames, and you ask the machine to generate the future frames. So basically what you're asking the machine to do now is predict the future environment for me. The same way we do as humans. We're driving down the road, you see a person walking, how are they walking? What's their gait like? Are they looking at you? What type of things are happening? By all of those little nuances you see of a person doing, you know whether they are likely to enter the road or not. And the machine can start learning those nuances itself. If a car starts swerving, it's less predictable. We know to pull back because it's likely to enter our lane. Machines can start learning those types of behaviors. They can start predicting that future, generating that future from imagery. And all it needs is vast amounts of imagery, of video, and it can learn and self-train. Now people say, okay, well, then there's a world without maps. How is Tomtom, a mapping company, interested in this space, a world that doesn't have maps? Well, just like in the LLMs and ChatGPTs of the world that you see today, they hallucinate. They make up fake things. In vision transformers, they're based on the same technology. So this technology is going to predict Fantasyland sometimes into the future. The last thing we need is our cars driving into Fantasyland. They need to be grounded in reality. In vision, grounding these things in reality is a map. A map tells it what is reality so it doesn't lose and go out into Fantasyland. So super important, very, very interesting space. The next, and this one is the most foundational, should affect every company. And I say a picture's worth more than anything. Way engineers are operating is going to change significantly. It's changing significantly now. So the image on the left is an engineer. That's what engineers have done my entire career. They predominantly write all of the code. For the first time in our careers, we are now going to be asked to coordinate other agents to write our code on our behalf. We've never had that happen in our careers as software engineers before. And this image on the right is actually AI generated, and it's purposely got flaws in it. For example, it has one of the, I said, create an image where robots are writing code, and it has one of the robots with a pen writing on a keyboard. These agents are flawed, and the job of our engineers is to somehow constrain these agents to create successful output. So super difficult, but incredibly impactful. So what did we do at Tomtom? I was hugely skeptical. Nah, come on, AI isn't gonna write code for engineers. I can't see it. But then I saw some success happen on from a few engineers. Like I told you, an engineer, a week, writing months worth of code, having huge impact to our cloud costs, fixing bugs. I was like, whoa, this is way more impactful than I thought. So I talked to some of the other executives at these different tech companies. I said, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Are some of your teams seeing this impact? Absolutely. Some teams are seeing it, while other teams still struggling, absolutely saying no. I have some of our engineers say, this is nonsense, it's never gonna happen. While some engineers, massive impact. What are they doing differently? Where are we getting the success from some of the engineers where others are failing? And the reality is, it's nuanced. You have to understand what you have to give to the agents to drive that level of success. How do you control, ground, and put guardrails around the agents so that they can be successful? We're building a program where we learn that, and then as we learn that in smaller teams, we're now scaling out to greater teams, teaching them best practices, teaching them how to take advantage of all of that. So high level, what's really important for us as leaders? Be bold, get involved, do not sit back letting this come to you from your team or anyone else. Understand what's happening, understand the foundations of where the breakthroughs came at. Again, it's all in data, and then build on that, create a vision, create focused, small initiatives, build success on those initiatives, and then scale those out to build momentum. And that's what we're seeing, and thank you.